Hello and welcome to this video. My name is David Thorne. This is the fifth video now in my C programming tutorial playlist. In this video we're going to be talking about a variable declaration and initialization, and also the data types just a little bit, and the identifiers, assignment operators, and a little bit of the magic of the C programming language. So I've listed here some variables, and I just want to talk about now what these different parts are and what they're called. So we know that the int is integer from the previous video, but this is the data type, and I'm just going to write it out like this for now. And the next part of it, just ignore these lines, and the next part of it is the identifier. All right, and the next part is then the assignment operator. And then the next part is then the value. All right. So what we've got here is int is then the data type. The identifier is then the variable name or the variable identifier. And then we have the equal sign. That is the assignment operator. So that basically means the same thing, assignment operator. And then the value is whatever comes to the right hand side of the assignment operator ended by a semicolon. Now this could also be an expression too. Okay, so we could have, say, number 4 is equal to 5 times 2 plus 6 divided by num2, and so on. All right, so this is an expression here also. Now we have to, this is just an expression. All right, but we have got declaration and initialization. Now, if we remove this and remove this once again, now this one variable has not been assigned a value. All right, so you would assume it's not initialized. Well, it's not initialized with the value that you wanted it to be, the determined value that you wanted it to be. It's like roughly initialized with an indeterminate value. Now, I'm just going to leave that as a question for you. What is the indeterminate value and why? Right? Because that's a good question for you to understand. And if you do know the answer to this question, well done. Put it in the comments below. But this is a good enough question that you should try and understand it. Now, let's look at the next example. We have int, in this sense, is the data type. And then we have the identifier. So the variable's identifier is num2. We're using the equal sign or the assignment operator, and we are assigning this variable with the identifier of num2 with the value of this expression. Now, in this sense, the expression has only the number 5, has nothing else in it. So we're assigning the value of 5. This one num2 variable is now declared and initialized with the determined value of 5. So you have predetermined what the value is. Now the next one, int, is the data type, and we see here the variable identifier is num3, and we are assigning it the value, okay, of num2. So whatever num2 has been initialized with, determined or indeterminate value, it's going to have that one value at that one time. If the value of num2 changes, the value of num3 won't change. It will be that initial value that it received. So you can change the value as well. So you can assign the value of num2 to now be 4 after the event, right? That's not a problem. And we can say num1 is going to be 1 after the event. But if you start looking at the value of num1 without initializing it, and I'm not going to print any of this stuff out, I want you to do it yourself. So print the value of num1 out without it being initialized, and you'll see what value it gets, and do it a few times. And then print out num2, you'll see it has the value of 5. And print out num3, you'll see it has the value of num2. Now we now know if you print here afterwards, you'll see a different value of num2. But what I want you to get out of this one video is the variable declaration and initialization. What is the difference and when you should do it? Now, initializing variables or declaring variables without initial value is a little bit buggy, right? So what good practice would be to do is that if you are going to require some input from some user or something that is not determined yet, and you're going to say age, and there's going to be a function of get age, and this get age is going to give you the age of that person. It's going to give you the integer of get age. Then that means that this value, this variable age, has been declared and initialized with the return value of the get age function that we haven't written. All right. But even Visual Studio Code is saying, hey, get age has got to be a function that returns an int. So this is okay, right? But you could, on the other hand, still do it this way, is by saying age and then using get age here. This still would be fine. This is still fine, right? Because as long as that get age returns an integer, this will be declared and initialized. But it's all about good practices for developers, because this is like a bug, you know, this is like 100% potential bug in the makings right here. And if this gets lost now somehow, and later on after 10,000 lines of code or whatever, and you're like, age should be like -1, or it should be 44, it should be something, and then suddenly it's like 65,382 or 81,365, you know, you'd be like, what's going on there? So this is something for you, is make sure that you declare variables correctly and you initialize them at the right time for your one program. Now, there are some other rules about what can and can't be in a variable name, but I'm going to get into that in another video, because this one is just about variable declaration, initialization, and the identifiers. All right, and the rules for identifiers I'm going to do in a separate video. So with that said, I hope you've got something out of this video, and it's very, very basic. This follows the same rules if we're using char and so on, or we're using any of the other data types which we haven't talked about yet. But it follows exactly the same rule. Data type followed by a variable identifier, followed by either a semicolon or followed by an assignment operator, followed by the actual value that has the same data type, the correct data type, as that one variable's data type. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video here, and I will see you in the next video. If you have any questions, concerns, and so on, please place them in the comments below. If you like it, give it a like. If you give it a thumbs up, and so on. And yeah, so see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao. Goodbye.